Yeah, there's a lot about it I'm just not understanding.
Oh, man. So it's saying we should be live right now. Let's see if anybody pops in. I'm going to share this out as well.
Oh, let me turn that down. There we go.
See if anyone pops in. Notifications have been terrible as well. All right, share. See if we see anybody come in. You got the actual stream up now, too. Just make sure that's muted.
Yeah, I got it.
In depth with Jimmy Guns. We live. All right, so Echo just popped in. Echo, before we get going, my brother Nathan, we want to test Jimmy's audio. So we're going to have Jimmy say a couple things, talk for a little bit. Just let us know what the sound is like. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, I'm going off my little Logitech. That's the oh here we pop that. That's much better. I'm going off the little Logitech, so it's got the microphone in there. So I don't know how well it's gonna do. Um, Let me move the camera.
Yep. So what do you guys, how's the sound when he's talking?
That seems to be way behind. Holly Jump, what's going on, man?
Guys, give us some feedback on on him while he talks. Then we'll get started once we know we're good. Could be louder. Okay, let me. Do you got any volume
Yeah,
on
that's the
yours?
first time anybody's told me to be louder before. The first time that's ever happened.
What do you guys think? Can't hear him hardly. Do you got any volume you can on your end, Jimmy, that you can turn up or no? Or is it like
I don't even know
maxed?
how to do that. I'm
Okay.
half an idiot, and that's the good half.
All right, keep talking. I'm gonna have them give us see if it gets better.
Try to bring myself a little closer, but I'll just have to talk a little louder, I guess.
Now he sounds good. Okay. All right. He still sounds far away. Does he sound good or no? He doesn't have headphones, guys. We talked about that beforehand. I should have brought it up like a couple days ago. He could have got headphones, but
I can throw it. Oh yeah,
he's good.
I
No,
can't.
they're saying you're good now. They're saying you're good now. All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. So, what's up, everybody? We are now episode number 6. I have a very special guest. Probably one of the most unselfish men I know, friends I know, brothers I know. He is not only a father, a husband, he's also a collector. He also dunked in high school, if you could believe that. My man, Jimmy Guns, how you doing, brother?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm all
How's
right.
everybody doing tonight?
Hey, man, I'm just glad we got you on here. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be excited that have been waiting for this since we finally got it stamped in to get you on here. So I don't know how in depth we'll go, as Jimmy kind of says. You know, we gotta keep it somewhat, to what everyone else would know. But we're gonna do what we can to share as much as we can about this man and let you guys get a more in depth glimpse of this unselfish guy we got from the hobby. So Jimmy, are you ready to get in depth, brother?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All
I
right.
just want to throw out real quick. I'm seeing a lot of people say 20 drink in the chats, and if I hear my PayPal go off and there's a 20 in there, I will be taking a drink. I'm just playing.
I love it. I love it. We're off to a fresh start. So Guns, let's just start from childhood, man. Like, where exactly did you grow up? Where were you from? Kind of give us a glimpse of the childhood of back in the days.
Oh man, I grew up in Southeast Portland, the area called Lance, right next to Felony Flats. Man, life was good. Older sister, couple younger brothers, mom, stepdad. Um, yeah, that's where I grew up. Life was different for me than it was for most people. I mean, my daughter knows a lot about my history, but
So
my I mean, she's 12 right now, and when I was her age, I was in a group home. That was when I was in my first group home, because I was a knucklehead. I was a troublemaker.
so you
Uh,
so
so
you bring up
throughout my teens, I only spent about 2 years total, not locked up between the ages of 12 and 18.
So you say, growing up in a group home, do you remember? Do you kind of have a general sense or idea of when that kind of started or when that took place, like an age wise of where you were, like age wise when you were living in these group homes? I mean, was this from like 6, 7, 8, or was this from like 12, 13?
Well, I know when it started. I have ADHD, hyperactive, attention deficit disorder, and when I was young, that's when they were experimenting on kids with all kinds of Ritalin
Mm-hmm.
and Silert and all kinds of stuff, and they had me on the max amounts of Ritalin. So, I mean, I can only equate that to a grown up who's on dope.
Right.
Since I was hyper, it did something different to me, and it kind of just like threw me in a hole a little bit. But I mean, if you think about a young person's brain as it's developing, basically being on drugs, it just kind of flipped me out. And then when I stopped taking the pills, I decided I didn't want that stuff anymore. Um, I kind of just went AWOL. I kind of went kind of went
Right.
overboard with a lot of stuff. Right, Lloyd?
Is there
ADHD
is there
stuff.
is there anything, Jimmy? I mean, I know we said we're not going to go deep, 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 but is there anything in this childhood range before? Let's just say before the age of 18. Is there any stories or anything in specific that you would like to share with us, or any kind of things that you got yourself into? I mean, we talk about the ADHD. We talk about your mind going everywhere. Is there any kind of stories or anything pre like age of 18 or anything like that that your daughter may already know of that you want to share with us?
Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so being 12 years old and being in a group home, you're with the. I was signed over as a ward of the state, so I was in OIA, Oregon Youth Authorities. When you're 12 years old and you're in there with kind of the worst 16, 17, 18, and back then they didn't send youth offenders directly to prison, so there were times when there were people who were 25 that were waiting to go to the pen. If you got in trouble as a kid, you got to stay in OIA until you were 25. But being 12, 13, 14 years old, and I was a little dude. Shoot, man, I got my ass whooped all the time. I tell people all the time I've lost more fights than most people have been in. Man, I'd get beat as a kid, and then to have ADHD on top of it, it was tough. So basically, what that did was that made me search out a group of when I was on the street, it made me search out a group of kids that kind of were in the same situation, to where we kind of had a band together. Uh, and then it goes kind of to the hurt people hurt people. Kind of just started off on the wrong path in life. We would get a group together, and I don't know. I guess we'd go out and hurt people because we were hurt.
Right.
I
I get
don't
it.
know.
I get it.
And I always say that everything that you go through in life brings you to the position that you're in right now. So one of the blessings about being in group homes and all that stuff for so long was I've had years and years and years of counseling. I've had years of people with degrees telling me why I feel the way I feel, or why I think the way I think, and it
Hmm.
allows me to calm down a lot now in my older age. In my 30s, I really started calming down, but it allows me to think clearly. Uh, Sometimes when back in the day I wouldn't have.
Right. Right. Just reaction before reaction, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
through these group homes and stuff, I'm sure there was a lot of days skipped through schools and whatnot. But I mean, did you have a tough time? I mean, were you still active in school? Were you still going to school through this time, or were you doing more homeschooling type stuff? I mean, what was your being in group homes growing up? What was it like for you as far as with school? I mean, did you just go to normal public schools and just kind of go when you wanted to go, or went all the time, or how? What was that like? I guess paint that picture for us if you could.
I never did well in school when I was out, because I guess the teachers really didn't want to deal with you or know how to deal with you. But anytime that I was in a situation where I had a bunch of structure,
Mm-hmm.
um, when I had structure, then I excelled. I did really well. There's different ways that you have to teach me for me to learn. And I
Mm-hmm.
see Ballsy saying, Jimmy, this may be ignorant, but what's a group home? Group home it's a boys' home. A lot of kids who had no family. A lot of kids who were too bad to be at home. A lot of kids who were signed over as a ward of the state for whatever reason, whether their parents didn't want them anymore, so their parents signed them away, or their parents died, didn't have parents, or committed crimes. Back then, they didn't just send kids to prison like they do right now.
Right.
They actually tried to rehabilitate them. So that's what a group home is.
So so when you were in school, when it was structured, when people were on you, you needed that structure, that discipline, maybe. Were you active? I mean, we hear the stories that you could dunk in high school, right? That's like always the common thing with Jimmy Gunz. Jimmy Gunz, at least he could dunk in high school. Was it besides basketball? Were there other sports that you were active in? Did you actually play sports when you were in like middle school, high school, or even growing up at all before then?
I played sports all through middle school, football as well. And then high school, when I got into high school, you had to have good grades
Right.
to do sports.
Right.
And the only thing that I excelled in was green thumb. That was the only thing that I liked for some reason. So I never had the grades to play. I played freshman football, and that's it. I got kicked off the football team for having a water fight with the cheerleaders on the sideline. But that's the only time I played sports in high school. So then I did, like YMCA, boys club, CCA, rec leagues,
Okay.
that kind of stuff around Portland.
Okay. Okay.
But
So
yeah, I could dunk in high school. When I was 17, in one of the group homes, we did a calf explosion workout, and we did that for like 4 months. And no shit, we gained like 8 inches on our hops, and
wow.
it was just insane. And I was real skinny, tall and skinny when I was 17.
How tall
And
were
yeah,
you? 17.
I could fly.
How tall
I
were
could
you
fly.
at 17?
Well, when I was 16, I was about what, like 5'6", 5'7", about 110 pounds.
Wow.
And then in 1 year, I grew almost a foot, so I sprung up to 6'4", and I gained almost 100 pounds. All of a sudden, I was 215 pounds.
Wow.
So that happened in 1 year.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, so this man could dunk. Put it for the record, if you didn't already know, our boy Gunz could dunk in high school. So high school, so we're gonna get kind of to the after high school here. We go through a little bit of the childhood, a little growing up. Where were you at, say, right after high school? I mean, was it a regular graduation? Was it GED? Did you take another route to get there? What did you do?
I got my GED. I actually got my GED in McLaren. McLaren is so group homes are group homes. McLaren is children's prison. I got in trouble when I was 17 years old. Like I said, ran with the wrong group, wrong stuff. We were out stealing cars one night, and this is all adjudicated. So this happened when I was a youth, and it has since been completely wiped clean off my record. But anyways, gunplay involved, shooting at people. Ended up getting caught, and I just fessed up to it, so my buddies didn't get in trouble. It was right before Christmas. I was looking at 50 years.
Wow.
Ended up beating it. Got everything reduced. I had a great public pretender to public defender. I had a great attorney. Ended up getting the charges, popped all the way down. I got sentenced till my 25th birthday. But they had figured that since I was 17 years old and I only had a little bit of credits, that it was just better to go and get my GED. So
yeah. Well, you know what?
I know a lot of people who probably know me in here but don't know all my story or whatever. Probably hearing me say all this shit.
This is what it's about, man. This is honestly why I created this platform, because our history is what makes us all interesting. Where we come from, what we've gone through, where we are, where we were, and where we are now. And one thing I do want to say too, like, I asked about the GED or the regular, just going and getting your diploma through high school. you always look at people and you always know that there are a lot of people out there that either went and got a GED or maybe even didn't even finish high school or didn't even get a GED or a diploma, and they're very successful. So, whether you get your diploma, your GED, that doesn't define who you are. It's where you are and where you go through in life. And again, already from what we're hearing, and I already know a lot about you, but as always, I respect you. So at 17 years old, we go through this. This happens. Was there, besides like running the streets and with your boys and whatnot, was there an actual job? Were you working anywhere? Like, was there not selling something or whatever? Like actually working a job?
Um, uh, yeah, right before I went in, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese.
Hey,
I was the mouse. Um, uh, we had a Chuck E. Cheese in our neighborhood, so a lot of us kids from Marshall, we all worked there. It was more of a hangout than anything else,
sure.
and it was fun, because I've always loved kids. So I mean, regardless how knuckleheadish I was, I've had little brothers and um, love kids. So it was a great job. It was something that actually made me smile.
Right. Nice.
So that's the only job that I ever had till I got out and shit. I don't like to admit it, but I sold cars. that's
Hey.
that's horrible. My mom hated it too. I remember people would ask my mom, "What does your son do for a living?" And she'd be like, "He's a drug dealer." She's a car salesman.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. And I got into I mean that's my only jobs from back then.
Right. Okay, so let's kind of jump maybe a little bit ahead. So your wife slash girlfriend, are you guys married, or are you guys just been together forever? It's basically like you guys
we're
are
married. We're married.
Yeah,
I've known
yeah,
her
okay.
since I was 16. She actually ran with my crew. She was the good little white girl that would be there. I got a tattoo on my chest. R.I.P. Sam. My buddy Sam Pimcom died in high school, and his older sister was my wife's best friend. So I used to go hang out at Sam's, and then there's this little white girl named Gina who would always. I hung out with all Asians, and there was this little white girl Gina, would always be over there, and I always had a crush on her, but she never fucked with me because she thought I was gonna be dead before I was 18.
Oh man.
So yeah, we ended up meeting later on in life again.
So how did that happen? So you had a crush on her. She didn't want to mess with you because of whatever. So how long was it, or how did you guys reconnect, or how did that even happen to where you guys are where you're at now?
We kind of split apart, and like when I got locked up, we kind of split apart. She ended up going and getting. She had a dude for a long time. He was a knucklehead. When I got out, I stayed in Portland for a couple years. Realized that I was on parole till my 25th birthday, and I realized that if I didn't get out of Portland, that I was gonna violate, and then if I would have violated, I would have got sent in and had to do all of my time. So it was a suspended sentence once I got out. So I decided to move, to leave Portland. So I moved to Vegas, and I lived in Las Vegas for a couple of years. And Las Vegas is a real easy place to be able to lay low if you want to. So I moved to Vegas, just kind of lay low for a few years. Had me a little chick out there, and me and chick split up. I came home, talked to one of my boys, Andy, and Andy was like, "Hey, Gina and her dude just broke up a while ago, So we ended up all meeting up, going out and to the bar for some drinks, and then it was done deal. I got some charm. I had some charm. I was fresh from Vegas, BMW, diamonds.
Nice.
She thought she was getting the winner. Ha!
So
her.
So Jimmy, so let's go here. So when or where does your life change? Like for, I guess we would say for the better, but where throughout all this, when is it that you decide that, you know what, enough, screwing around, messing with the wrong crowds, the wrong crew? When was it that you realized, what was it that made you realize that, hey, you know what, enough's enough, it's time for some change. I gotta grow up, and I gotta be a man and not be screwing around on the streets and getting in trouble and getting locked up or whatever.
Well, first of all, I'll say this. When I hear somebody say, wrong crew, wrong guys, I'm still friends with all my friends. And My mom used to always say, bad influences, but fact of
Right.
the matter is that I was the bad influence. I was the one who would turn up all the time and
Sure.
fly off the deep end. So I can't blame other people for that.
Right.
But when I had Aspen is when life didn't change because I guess, I mean, this is weird. I guess I didn't know what love was,
Uh huh.
because I never had that family setting. So I didn't know what
Yeah.
love was until I had this little turd butt. But even then, it was, and this sucks to say, and I've said this, she knows this. When I had her, I didn't have, I guess, the feelings right away that a normal father should have. Instead of, or maybe I haven't told you this. Instead of instantly feeling like I was given something, I selfishly felt like something was being taken away. Um, so when I first had her for about the first 2 years, I went completely off the wall. I was
Uh
at the bar every night, fighting all the time, being a knucklehead, everything else. And I guess I just didn't. I mean, that was my baby, but I
right.
guess I just didn't connect with her in a real way until she started showing me like her brilliance. At about 2 years old, you start talking, start asking questions. They have this wonder in their eyes, and they look at you like you're Superman. And when somebody looks at you like you're Superman, then you got to try and be Superman, 'cause
Right.
you don't want to let them down.
Right.
But that's when me and her really started connecting. And then when we started connecting, I started slowing down a little bit. But I'll say that the peer turnaround was after Little Jimmy. Um, that's when the peer, no, 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 it's time for me to be a father. Because she'll tell you, I was still out at the bar all the time up until before he was born. I'd be gone all weekend long, and she always wanted to do stuff, and I'd be like, nah, I gotta go do this, gotta go do that. But yeah, life is crazy.
That's
I've lived
interesting.
multiple lives.
Man, that's interesting, and I think we all appreciate you sharing that because, everybody has a different outlook. Everybody sees it differently. Like when their first child's born, we could all relate and tell our stories, but at the end of the day, it's not where we were then; it's where we are now, right?
Right.
So,
Well, and don't get me wrong. I mean, when I clipped that umbilical cord, when I held her that first time, I realized that this was my baby, and I
right,
loved her with all my heart. But if you don't know what love is, you can only give so much love. Like you don't know when you weren't taught what love is, you don't know how to give love. I gave what my version of love was.
right.
So I guess it took me a long time to realize what love really was. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you from the get go, like from the start, you couldn't be fully invested because
Yeah.
you weren't sure, you were unsure. All right, so you pretty much said like when little Jimmy, the other little man in your life, little Jimmy came around, Mister Flex on you, showing his elbows, his big muscles. Um, he comes around. Things start getting better for you. Is this kind of when you? I mean, you were into cards and toys. I mean, we're gonna get into all the hobby stuff and everything that you collect because it's not just baseball, football, basketball cards. It's Garbage Pail Kids. It's He-Man characters. It's action figures. It's comics. It's all. And we're gonna let you talk about that.
Uh,
But was maybe you getting back into the hobby as well as little Jimmy comes along? When was it when you came back into the hobby or when you reconnected in the hobby? How long ago was that?
so we got to backtrack to do that.
Yeah, sure.
So Aspen wanted to start playing basketball, and maybe I wanted her to start playing basketball because I wanted her to be my little dude or something.
Yeah.
But so she started playing YMCA basketball, and I was the coach about 3 years in third grade. About 3, 4 years, 3 years probably. No, you played for about 3 years. Yeah, so we started getting into sports together. I would play Madden, and that's how she got this love for Bo Jackson. I would let her run Bo in for the touchdowns or whatever. So she started getting into sports, and she had a really good game. And we were driving home, and we passed the card shop, and I hadn't seen the card shop in forever. And I remember pointing, and I was like, "Oh man, I used to collect cards." And she was like, "Well, let's go buy a pack." And I was like, "Well, that's all right." So we stopped in there and we bought, it was like 3 packs or something like that. We bought a basketball pack and they were expensive. I was like, oh my gosh, cards are expensive. Um, but so we bought a basketball pack, a football pack, and something else. And in the basketball pack, we pulled a Greek Freak rookie auto.
Wow.
Crazy. And out of our football pack, we pulled a dual relic with Marino, Elway, and Brett Favre.
Wow.
And I guess just pulling those cards and finding out you can have stuff like that just set us off. It was over after that. But we had a collecting spirit for a long time because we collect vintage toys. That's our first love. That's what we used to do together. He-Man's, Thundercats, GI Joes, all kinds of stuff like that. We would go to secondhand stores and yard sales and vintage shops and constantly like our He-Man collection is crazy. So we've been collecting together forever. But what really got us into collecting too was from getting those couple cards. I started looking up on YouTube and I found people um, who made videos about cards, and that's weird because I could have never took cards to my friends. They'd be like, "What the fuck are you doing?" That's weird. But we found Andy and Riley, right? And then who else? I think Mark from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I started watching their stuff, and I was like, wow, we could do videos like this. So, we started collecting, started doing videos. Remember Card Dreamer was the first
Oh,
person
yeah.
to send us a care package, and it was a huge package of a bunch of base cards, and then he like put in some Griffey Juniors, some Bo Jacksons or whatever. So I remember we made a couple videos just sitting going through that and fell in love with the hobby. So that's how we got back into it.
If you were to put a number, and I know you can't tell us an exact number. If you were to put a number on how many action figures you guys have in your collection, well, how many hundreds would you say, or what do you think? What would that number be?
I have an entire 100% complete set of He-Man. Well, actually, except for like the Wonder Bread and the lasers.
Uh huh.
What do I got? I got like 20 of each. I'm gonna have to say I got like 300 or 400
Wow.
He-Man toys.
And then Wildcats.
Thundercats.
Or yeah, whatever.
Those Wildcats,
And then
Thundercats, GI Joes. Yeah, I got a few hundred, man.
Okay.
We got a few $1,000s worth of stuff back there.
I do want to jump back again a little bit, but it's going to be hobby related. And tell us about your first encounter, I guess, with actual sports cards. So,
Oh man,
when
growing
was
up, I
it?
had,
Do you remember the first time?
I had my buddy Michael lived a couple houses up. My buddy Jason, and yeah, we were into sports cards because obviously everybody was into sports back in the day. You know, the sets that resonate the most with me are like '89 Pro Set, '89 Donruss Baseball is my favorite set ever because it became Griffey. But you know, I never had no money. I was broke as a joke. I remember there used to be a card shop named or called BG's. I was about to die. There's a card shop called BG's, and I mean I remember us riding our bikes up there. I remember us buying packs. I remember BG would just be over our shoulder as we were opening packs, and he'd be like, you know, if we hit something good, he'd be like, "Hey, I'll give you another pack for that card," and we'd be like, "Yeah, for sure." So we trade the only good card, get another pack, go through it, and he'd play that game with us till we left with nothing good, and he got it out of it. Like a little hustler. But yeah, that was our beginning. I mean, I collected cards just like every one of you guys did back when we were young. I mean, everybody who's 40 my age.
Right.
You know,
right.
89, 90, 91, I guess 88 too. Those were like the years.
So you had mentioned that you getting back into the hobby, it was you and Aspen driving by the card shop, pulling the Greek Freak auto. What I guess what I want to ask you is what impact has you reconnecting with the hobby? What impact has that had on you in your life?
Oh man, this is gonna sound real weird, but man, I think it saved me. To be honest, it really did. It gave me an outlet. Gave me a different group of friends to chat with. And, you know, I remember we were all in a group chat a long time ago. And you guys know I started doing my auctions on Monday nights. And the reason I picked Monday nights is because I was out thugging it all weekend. So, you know, I needed Sunday to recover. And then, you know, a lot of times Monday I was still, you know, Mondays I was still, you know, hungover doing my auctions. but if I didn't have that, if I didn't have that outlook, you know, I mean that outlet, uh, things would be a lot different. And you know, I remember too, I would go out and hang out or whatever, and I wouldn't be around or I wouldn't be in chat for like 2 days, and like you and Plow and like Coker would text me, "Where you at? Where the hell you at? What are you
Right.
doing?" Da da da. Because
Yeah.
you guys knew I was out up to no good. Hold on, let me plug this in real quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna share a story here in a second when he gets back up. I can kind of recall a time, but I'll wait till he gets back on.
All right.
I can kind of recall a time, Jimmy, a couple years ago in a group chat where we were all kind of going, anybody heard from Gunz? Anybody know? You know, he was going out, he was going back to wherever for the weekend. You know, we hope he's not in jail. We hope he's not locked up. You know, anyone hurt? And we didn't hear from you for a while, and you just finally you would. I don't remember who you responded back to or the group chat or whatever. You're like, oh man, yeah, I'm fine. It's just a wild weekend, just hungover. You know, whatever the usual. But we were worried there because we hadn't heard from old Guns for at least a couple days, and he would usually check in at least once a day. Um, so what I want to talk about too, I kind of mentioned Guns on here as being probably one of the most unselfish people I know. Um, just doing a lot of things, guys. If you guys are not aware between Twitter and YouTube, if you guys are not seeing what he's doing and what he's been with all the different racks and gifting and just dropping people cards, you know, racking himself personally, I've been a one that's been received from him as well. But what brings Jimmy Guns? Like, so we have this history, this past we've kind of gone through, we've talked about. Where how does Guns get here? Like, how does Guns get to this unselfish, giving, caring person who years ago would be thugging, talked about shooting at people, cars, etc. How do we get there from there to here? Like, where did this come from? Where did this change? How did this outlook? How did the mentality change? I guess is what I'm trying to ask you.
It came from the group of people that I affiliated with on Twitter. It was, man, we got in a group, you know, and we wanted to do things for people. And I was watching people send other people stuff. I remember I watched you send Dave a Cubs card. Remember when he was opening, he dropped it everywhere.
Oh
And
yeah,
he
the
was,
Schwarber like crazy.
yeah, he
Yeah,
was
yeah,
so
fast.
shaky receiving it. And then you know we got Ryan. You know, you see Ryan always trying to do good things for people, and then we did the Rev break, and
Oh yeah.
you just kind of watch what it does for people, and then you're like, I want to spread that. That's what I want to do. And I guess it kind of goes to, I know some of you guys have heard me say uh, before, I just want to live the second half of my life better than the first half.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time hurting people in my life, and I want to help people now. I want to bring smiles. Um,
Do you
uh,
you
it's fun.
brought
It's fun to give, man. It's fun to blow people away. It's fun to make people happy.
you brought up a good one when you were just talking about this, and I guess maybe we talk a little more about it because a lot of people on here probably don't even really know much about. You say Rev, we bring up Rev. A lot of people like maybe have been newer to the community, weren't around then when we were kind of connected and we were all doing that. Guns did a big old. He decided that he was going to do this big break, raise a bunch of money for this family, JR, and this little boy Rev, who was battling cancer. I'm gonna let Jimmy like tell a little bit more of the story, but I think if I were to be a betting man, you know, Jimmy tells us that he's seen some of us in the groups doing things, but if I was to be a betting man, I would put money on it that this particular event or this particular situation, rack, whatever you want to call it, was probably really the changer probably in Jimmy's outlook and what he does as far as within the hobby. I mean, I might be wrong when I say this,
No, you're probably right.
but I think it is because I think this was a big one. This was a huge one. You know, we see a lot of things that we think are big right now that he's done, people do in the hobby, but this is a different one. Like this goes a little different. This runs a little deeper. This has a little bit more of an impact on a family that's basically losing their little child who is battling and giving everything he can to survive and fight for cancer. But I want you to talk a little bit about it, Jimmy, because this was kind of your thing. You headed this up. You ran with this. And this was kind of the first time we saw Jimmy Gunz, like, take head of something and say, you know what? I want to do something for these people. So I want you to talk a little bit about the whole Rev thing.
Well, here's the thing. I guess it goes back to, I've always, I don't want this to be taken as in the wrong way, but I've always had an ability to move people. We used to do it for negative purposes back in the day, but I could kind of delegate what happens, you know what I mean, and make people see my view on something and get people to do things. So when I decided that I wanted to do something for Rev, and then when we talked about it, I realized that I couldn't do it by myself. But I figured that I could probably motivate some people to care about what I cared about. Plus, it was just kind of the situation where we had a good group of people who cared about the same things I care about already. But I realized at that point that you can get a group of people, and if you can get a group of people to do something, then it can be bigger than anything you could do on your own. And I guess I didn't realize so much the heart of everybody in the community, that when I threw it out there, so many people were just jumping at the idea and the ability to help. And it went as far as we got a hold of Panini, Tops. I think, didn't we get a hold of Upper Deck?
Leaf even jumped in?
Oh, no, it's not.
Or did they not? But did they not jump in?
Tell us how you feel about Leaf. Fuck Leaf. Tried to reach out to them, and then they blocked me.
Oh yeah, they were the ones that did. That's right.
And then try to pretend like they didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Blocked me again.
Right.
But man, we made something big happen, and it was only money. It didn't end up fixing Rev's family situation. He ended up passing. He had a great fight. But he ended up passing. But that right there let me know, though, that you could do something, that you can get a group of people and you could do something for others. And like I said, it's not much I could have done on my own, but through everybody, it became something big. So.
And I actually remember, dude, the day he passed like that late night or that early morning, the same night you guys were doing the actual charity break. Like the actual night we were going to make it happen and you were doing it. And that was the first one. That was the first, like, break that Jimmy even did. I remember Jimmy, like, reaching out to me going, hey, man, because I was doing some breaks at the time. Like, hey, he was even, when he was flirting with this idea and what he wanted to do, he's like, well, maybe we have you do it. And I'm like, no, man, like, this is your thing. You're leading this. You do this. You break this. You stream this. You do whatever, because it's your thing and it's a good thing. And you need to be the one that needs to be ahead of it. And like I said, for me personally, I feel like that right there was really a turning point for you at least in the hobby, as far as the hobby's concerned, as far as your outlook, what you wanted to do, what you wanted to be about. Now, we know you do your gun show. Used to be Monday nights. It's now Saturday nights. I think the change to Saturday night is really, it's awesome. And really hearing what you've already talked about, being out with the boys every weekend, partying, whatever, for you to be now in front of your computer, selling cards, chatting with people, making a little coin, maybe sometimes getting a little too drunk and putting some really nice cards on the table for a little too cheap and realizing it the next day. But at the end of the day, you're at home, you're with the family, you're not out, you're not out doing the thugging thing, whatever. It's awesome, man. And we also, if you guys weren't around Saturday night, Gunz had an old goal of 110 likes. And it was a push. It was a goal to get past that. And it was 118, 120 something. I know we got to 118, and I think by then I passed out. But with that, he actually gave away a Walter Payton courtesy of Rip and Gypsy, Smash and Mindy over there, graded, which was absolutely awesome. So we have the gun show every Saturday night. You guys, his stuff is below. I was going to say this at the end too, but all his Twitter and his YouTube, if you guys already don't know, you guys need to make sure you're subscribed and following him. But where does the gun show, or where does Jimmy Gunz go from here? Like, do you have more plans, like, besides just doing a Saturday night gun show every week? Do you plan on doing anything else? Do you want to do something more with the toys as well? Like, we haven't touched on everything as far as everything you collect yet, and that's what we're going to get into. But where else does Gunz want to go with this platform you're starting to build for yourself?
I honestly, I have no idea. I mean, I'll tell you what, I'm normally the type of dude who just never sees anything through to completion. So I wouldn't be surprised if I just quit on a whim one day. For fear that it will never get as big as I want it to get. But I mean, I'll do my auctions. I'll continue doing that. That's fun. I thought about doing breaks, but I don't know if I could do that. That's just so much work. It seems like just so much work to do breaks.
It's a lot of work if there's just one person. If Aspen or someone got involved and she could really help you sort and package, that would be big. But if you're on your own a lot, I've been through there doing it myself. It sucks solo. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm on my own. Even with my auctions, I have this huge table full of 30, 40 packages that I have to get out just from Saturday. Like, I couldn't imagine doing this and doing breaks. Like, there's no way.
So there's been talk, and there's been talk in the past. You were gonna do something with like launching a website or doing, with the mix of the cards and the toys. I mean, are you still looking to do that?
I don't know. Like, I don't see right now. I don't see to where I need to do that. Like right now, things seem to be going decent for me. This isn't this doing the auctions has really helped me during some bad times. But in a time like right now where, we're doing decent, I'm working, the wife's working, everything's, kind of good. This is all just fun money.
Right.
This is stuff I like doing. Like even just in the last auction, like you said, in the last auction, the Walter Payton was gave away a Ted Williams, raised money for Zach, doubled it, last week, ended up doubling money for
Big D, yeah.
Big D on his, sending out stuff to Michael. And that's one of the things, too. Like, we have Twitter and then we have YouTube. And people on YouTube might not see everything we do on Twitter. And people on Twitter don't see everything we do on YouTube. And when you're a part of both communities and you're trying to do the same thing in both, it costs. Like, I put a lot of money back into this hobby, but I love it. It's I kind of feel like that's why people even come into the auctions and hang out, because they know that, a lot of it's coming right back into the hobby.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't know if it's something that I want to grow like crazy big. I like that it's grown, but I'd like to keep it. I'd like to keep it kind of more like this. I feel like sometimes when you overextend yourself, then it's hard to, it's hard to keep your core together. It's hard to keep your individuality and your relationships with people.
Yeah, I think it's hard to stay connected with everybody that's involved. Yeah. I think that's what you're trying to get at. And one thing I want to touch on, because, again, you collect a lot of different things. I mean, let's talk about some of the other stuff. So, Garbage Pail Kids, I think you completed the first Series 1 and Series 2?
Oh,
you didn't? Halfway. You didn't. Okay. And then you got those, help me out here, those cards, those other kind of cards. You're selling them for like $400 or $500 a set.
Oh, you talking about the Illuminati cards?
Illuminati cards, yeah.
I mean, you got crazy.
I mean, this guy collects just about any type of card, I think, out there.
My wife hates me.
And all the toys, like he said, he talks about He-Man, he talks about, everything. So, I don't know, man. I just think it would be cool if you did what you talked about doing a while back, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, it takes a lot of time unless you're going to pay somebody to completely build your website and put all your inventory in. Like, you doing it yourself, it's not that hard if you get the right setup, but it's going to be time consuming.
That was the path I was going to go on when I wasn't going to be working, and then by getting a job, which takes so much out of me, I just don't have it to even want to build that right now.
Right.
Maybe later, but not right now.
So where do you see the hobby here? Let's just say everything stays fine. Let's say this virus thing doesn't, it gets to a calm, nothing crazy happens. Where do you see this hobby in 5 years? Where do you see it in 10 years?
People aren't going to like my answer.
Go for it.
I think we're in a junk wax. I really do. And I don't think it's with autographs, and I don't think that it's with numbered relics, game worn, stuff like that. But I think when it comes to I mean, you got Leaf who's putting out their bullshit to
Oh
where you
yeah.
have fucking 4 autographs from college players who are going to be dentists next year. You're buying these $300-400 boxes and you're pulling out offensive lineman autographs. Nobody's going to care about that stuff unless it's your team.
Right.
Um, I just, I mean, I don't think that it's going to implode because by having numbered cards, it helps make it a little bit different
Yeah.
than it was back in the last junk wax era. But um, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm enjoying the ride. It's fun. I'm having a blast. But if man, I don't know because you just got situations where you could type in like a superstar's name. You could
Yeah.
type in Dominique Wilkins and get a Dominique Wilkins autograph for $30. And
Right.
how do you get a Dominique Wilkins for $30, but some new college guy is thousands who's
Right.
never played? Like I just don't get it.
Like Wander Franco, that
Yeah,
Wander
you know what I
Franco.
mean. I don't
He's still in like
understand.
A ball or something in the minors. He's not even in AAA. Like, or yeah, it's just crazy. It's just because he's young and they think he's got talent. I don't
I
understand
don't
it.
know. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think it's still going to be here because there are people who rode this out since the '80s.
Yeah.
There are people who've been here this whole
Oh yeah.
time, and maybe I'm speaking without the knowledge because I did just get back in a few years ago, so I wasn't there through all that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
just seeing what it is right now. But I mean, I will say that the hobby's stronger than ever, and I will also say that I'm wrong more than I'm right. So I kind of hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
you know.
Right. All right. Well, yeah. So what else? Is there anything else you wanted to share with all of us specific? You might want people to know about you, yourself, or anything you got brewing on besides the old gun show every Saturday night, which is always a blast, always breaking new like records, always having a higher number count of viewers at a time. What else you want to tell the people out here that are all listening?
I mean, I definitely I appreciate the friendships. I appreciate the support. Without you guys being in there, there's no way that I could do the stuff that I do. Um, or put together. Sometimes I feel bad that I'm not able to jump in everybody else's stuff. It makes it hard when you got a 3-year-old, a 12-year-old, a job, and you just can't watch everybody's stuff.
Oh yeah.
And uh, it's one of those things where it just makes me feel bad. Um, but man, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna keep being on Twitter. I don't see me ever trying to do like crazy YouTube stuff, but who knows? My ADD. I've learned how to control it, but that thing kicks in and it'll send me this way or this way sometimes.
Right.
Um, but man, I'm just gonna try and keep being the best person I could be. I do my best to take care of those who take care of me. People who show me, loyalty and love, I will return it. Um, man, and I hope a lot of us can grow together. I'm excited to see where we go or what we can do. Um,
Yeah, Gunz brings up a good point. He basically just said it right there. We can grow together, and everybody's got to do their own little part, and it doesn't take a lot. It's just simply, like he says, when you can, he can't always get into everybody's streams, but when he can, pop in, whatever. Even if he can't get in, if he's on Twitter, you see him all the time retweeting somebody or a link or something. That's what we all have to do within our community is help each other. If you see somebody's live, even if you're at an event or something, but you pop on Twitter or you see, oh, there's a link here, just simply retweet it, like it and retweet it. I think Gunz even said something. He had a tweet today that he said, "Man, I can always get all these likes on my tweets. Why can't people just retweet this stuff?" You want to
Well,
touch
what
on that a
that
little
was,
bit?
man, what that was I was going, and I never scroll through tweets. I follow like 1,500 people. It's too
Yep.
hard to see everybody's tweets
Right.
unless I'm tagged in it. I don't see it.
Yep.
But today I had some time because I had the day off, so I was just scrolling through tweets, and I saw that Tim Lehman threw up one of the cards over coronavirus,
Uh huh.
and I noticed that it had like 21 likes and not one retweet. And I was like, that's our buddy, you know what I mean? It's his son's
Right.
birthday coming up. Like, they would love to win a box.
Right.
How come nobody's retweeting this? If you retweet it and you like it, it's going to put it out to more people. And then there's a chance that we can help him win it. So, in my opinion, there's either two reasons that somebody's not retweeting somebody's stuff. Number one, they just don't want them to, to win or to do good, or
Right.
don't want to put their stuff out there, or they just don't think about it. So I wanted to just throw it out there and be like, hey guys, think about it. You know what I mean? It only takes a second to hit retweet. Like,
But it's real. Like,
if you go through my stuff, I retweet everything.
yeah, but it's real, and you hit it right on the head. Like, I actually read through it, and I was like, I almost kind of laughed to myself, like going, I see this all the time with people. Like, people legit, you'll get 1 million likes, and you'll have like, or anybody will get a ton of likes on something they like, and then boom, there's no retweets. You know, it's like that. So it's things like that again. Like Jimmy hit it right on the head. Like, we can help each other expand and grow. We can get ourselves out there, help our other people get out there, our brothers, our sisters, people in our community. We can spread that love. Again, simple things like when Jimmy goes live, sharing his link, or if someone else shares the link, maybe not everybody has to share the link, because if you go and like it and retweet it, at least if you're retweeting it, it's going to go to all your people that you follow or that follow you. So it's connecting it one way or another, and that's really what's going to help everybody. Like, people out there that want to get bigger, they're sitting with 100 subs, 200 subs, 100 followers, 200 followers on Twitter. That's how you're going to do it. Like, you get what you put in, I think, and I think Jimmy will agree with that. Like, you're going to get out of what you do with how much effort you put in and how much you show and how much you care. And again, I think Jimmy will back me on what I'm saying here, but when you go and you do things for people, which is a great thing to do, just do it in the expectation of not receiving anything in return. You should always go that way. You should always be like that. I know Jimmy says that a lot. He talks about it a lot. It's like sometimes I'll see people comment like, they'll do something good for somebody, and then I'll see them comment like, yeah, it'll hopefully it'll come back to me sometime or whatever. I mean, yeah, I mean, you can hope, and that's fine, but don't have that mentality that anybody owes you anything because you did something good for somebody. I mean, I think.
Yeah, at the same time, though, we are human. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
We always like your good deeds to come back.
Yes.
It's kind of a karma thing.
Right.
You give, you get what you give. And I believe that, but that's not why I do the good stuff. But in the same breath, I mean, people talk about the things that I've given people, and if you just look at my timelines, you will see that I am actually the most blessed person in the hobby. I think in the last like 3 months.
I think I joked in our chat or somewhere, and I said, "Man, I think Gunz he's had a better like last month or 2 months than he's had ever his best Christmas, maybe." Like,
right, bro?
but it's awesome. But it's deserving at the same time. Like, again, not having the mentality of somebody should expect something because of what they do, but at the same time, people should be rewarded for how much they do. I guess people will probably say like, "Okay, Jeff, you just sound like you're flipping things back." But what I was meaning before is like, hey, you do one good thing or two good things for people. Jimmy's done hundreds of good things for different people. Like, it comes a point where like he just, there has that recognition has to be there. Enough people have seen it. Enough people want to say, "Hey, man, we need to do something awesome for this person." Like, it's just the way it is. So
it's crazy, man. It is. It's crazy. It's completely humbled, but at the same time, it keeps me energized. And it's like, okay, you remember what the feeling feels like that you're trying to give other people.
right.
So, and then I just want to magnify it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, this community's done so much for me. It really has. Like, I mean, without all this, we would have never sold the Portland house, would have never moved out of Portland, would have never came out here. This community has propped me up when I was doing bad, when things weren't working out. It's helped put money in my pocket in times when I wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
And it's saved me a few times. It really has, and that's why I always say I feel like I owe it so much. Yeah, and with that being said, too, I got a lot of people, man, who DM me or who reach out to me or who text me, and they bounce a lot of their problems off me, and all the time people will say, "Hey, sorry to bother you with this, but I just want to let you know you don't have to say sorry. I want to be that person." When you feel like you're in a situation to where the only person you have to reach out to is somebody on Twitter, make it me. You know what I mean? Go ahead, hit me up. I'll try and I'll try and talk you down or talk some sense into you, or put you on the right path best I can, because I care about I care about a lot of you that much,
Yeah.
because I know you guys care about me that much, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
So just want to throw that out there to you guys.
No, for sure, man. That's a great thing to bring up because I think, me and you actually we talked about this before. I called you, or we had a little call, whatever, before we even did all this, and you had mentioned or said, hey man, you know what? We're all kind of a little weird, like, right? We all got our own little things, and we all do, like, and we've all gone through stuff. Whether we've gone through it in the past, we're still going through it, or we're just now going through some things. It's good to know that you have somebody like Gunz. I'd throw even myself if you wanted to reach out. Any of us that you can just contact and reach out to, because yeah, sometimes people they feel like they're in a lonely place. They feel like there's no one left. They feel like, and that's when people get over depressed. People do things they shouldn't be doing. And we don't ever want that. We don't want to lose anybody within the community. So yeah, reach out to Gunz, reach out to me,
I've
whoever
been
you
in
trust.
very dark spots. Some I brought upon myself. Some that just circumstance. I know what addiction feels like. I know what anger
Yeah.
feels like. I know what depression feels like. Um, I know what it all feels like. So I'm truly not judgmental when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like someone could call me and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm strung out on this," and I'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, it happens. A lot of my friends went through it. I'm from Southeast Portland."
Yeah.
Or I'm an alcoholic and I fell off the wagon, and I'll be like, "I love you, pour it out."
Yeah.
Whatever I could do, I'm gonna always try and do. So my point was just, if you ever need to reach out, because you guys have done that much for me, that I want to be, I want to be there for you guys if you need me to. So
I've had the pleasure to meet you at the National finally. I honestly want to make a trip sometime, maybe even out to you for a long weekend or something. We'll try to
we
make
got
something
golfing
happen.
out here, hiking, shooting, whatever
Hell
the hell
yeah,
you
we'll
want,
we'll
man.
do some fun stuff. We'll do make some crazy content together or something.
All right.
But what else you got for us, man? I mean, we're closing in almost an hour. Is there anything else you want to get out there? You want to
Dang,
talk
it's been
about?
an hour already.
Just about, yeah.
Oh, I think I just told everybody all my dirty secrets, so you got it all. Um, I got my daughter here with me. Love her to death. Um,
Yeah, everyone Aspen, yep.
yep. Big bow collector. Probably gonna do a video here in the next couple of days showing her collection, and then we'll probably end up doing a cards over coronavirus picture. So retweet it if you see it.
There you go.
Um,
Yep.
yeah, man. Nothing else, man. I'm just gonna say that as great as this hobby is, there's a lot of weird stuff in this hobby at the same time, and it doesn't have to be. Shit don't have to be weird. People can work together, do things together, try and help each other out. There's enough hobby for everybody here. Um, Man, I'm nothing special. Other people shouldn't think that they're special, and other people shouldn't think that they're less than anybody else.
Right.
This is a community. It takes every single one of us to be something. There are people that I look up to in this community, things they do. I know that there are people who look up to me, and that's great. Uh, but what people don't know is, I look at some people who would never think it with just crazy admiration, because they tell me, about their life, what they do, and just the fact that some people are still here smiling and doing well, big things for others, makes me look at them and think the world of them. So, yeah, guess that's it, man. I guess nothing else.
You good? All right. Guys, as I said earlier, if you guys are not following him on Twitter, if you got Twitter, if you are not, if subscribe to him for whatever reason, whether you're watching this now or watch this later, you guys make sure you are. And if you guys truly didn't know him before tonight, you will know him a little better. And I will challenge you, if you don't know much about him, to see what I just talked about and what he told us about, but the unselfishness and think about it, guys. Every time we do one of these, everybody that we get on here, I try to bring on that have a story to tell us about just craziness growing up, whatever it is, or what they did, how they changed. And it never ceases to amaze me how you can see this person in the position they're in now when you hear about the things they've gone through. I mean, we just listened to our boy Gunz just now. I mean, the guy could have been locked up for life, honestly. He could have been killed, you know, growing up. We don't know through all these stories. Like, these are things that are real, that he really went through. And now he's one of these guys that's probably, I would label him as one of the most unselfish in the hobby. He's at the top there for sure. Out of anyone. So, and again, man, I respect you. I love you. You're not only a friend to me, but I consider you a brother. I appreciate you coming on here, guys. Make sure you guys show him some love, show him some support. When they drop that bow video, make sure you guys all freaking watch that thing, like it, put a comment, leave a comment as well, and don't forget to retweet, right? When it's on Twitter. Share it on Twitter. That's the other thing. When you see Gunz put up a video or something, share it on Twitter. Like, share it on Twitter so people notice it if they don't go on Twitter every day. Some people don't, or on YouTube every day. Some people don't check YouTube every day. Like, there are people that are not like all of us that are on YouTube maybe daily. So they need a reminder. They need that link. But Jimmy Gunz, my brother, it has been an absolute pleasure. You want to say good? You want to close them out and say goodnight to these guys?
Yeah, you know, just same thing I always say, man. Be a light in somebody's life. You know, one small act of kindness can mean the world to everybody else, and or to somebody else. And man, link up with your brothers, because together we could do so much more than, you know, what we could do individually. So let's keep doing what we're doing. Let's man, 2020 has just been a weird year, and things around us just seem to be bad everywhere, but things within us have been great. So let's keep that going, because when all that's weird, we can always come back right here, and things are good.
Absolutely.
So let's try and keep that going. I know a lot of us need it. I know I need it. But yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you. I really like what you're doing here. This is real cool. I've had fun watching a few of these. So guys, make sure you check out his next one. Who do you got next week?
Next one's going to be Dan from DMN Takeover. The
Okay.
guy on Twitter that does
I'm gonna want to watch for
yeah.
sure, because he's got a whole thing going.
Oh yeah,
He's been doing it for a while.
He used to be a rock star too, or he still kind of is. So yeah, we're gonna some crazy stuff.
He's so fucking dreamy.
Oh yeah.
He is a rock. Do you see his tweet?
Pop-Tart. Yeah.
Cards in front of his jump.
Naked with the Pop-Tart box. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Got to meet him at the at National too. So that was awesome.
Yep.
But
Great
man,
guy.
guys, I'll see you guys Saturday night.
Absolutely.
4 p.m. Pacific. Come hang out.
Yeah, guys, don't ever miss the Gunz show. With that being said, we're gonna say goodnight. Love y'all. Be good. Peace.
Take care, guys.